Hello, I'm Simon Phillips, and I am speaking to you from the dressing room in Aschaffensburg. It's called the Colossal, which is a very famous club here, and I'm here with my band, Protocol 5. You know, the style of music really lends itself to a smaller place. You know, it would be very hard for us to play this music in like Giant Stadium. You know, people would be going, huh? It's just a different kind of music, and I think, and you can play relatively large places, like at jazz festivals. I mean, in Tokyo, the jazz festival, the Tokyo Jazz Festival used to be at the Forum, which is 6,500 people. But for the majority of the time, most of us, you know, jazz artists tend to play clubs. And it's wonderful that the audience can be so close. They can see all your expressions. They can see the contact within the band. Almost most of my life. Well, I'd have to do math, wouldn't I? So 1979, I became an official endorser. So, gosh, it's nearly 50 years, isn't it? I was rehearsing in Los Angeles at SIR with Stanley Clarke for a US tour. And I was using another make of cymbal at that time. I had used Zildjians since I was a kid. I think I got my first K Zildjian when I was about 12 or 13, because I was already professional by that time. So me and my drum tech at the time, or roadie we used to call them back then, he said, yeah, you should really go to Zildjian. I'd always loved Zildjians anyway. So we picked up the first set of endorsement cymbals while we were on the road, because we didn't have time to go to Boston before the tour. At the end of the Stanley Clarke tour, I ended up somehow on the East Coast. I went to Boston to actually go and pick my, even though I had a set of cymbals already, they're very personal. Each one is a little bit different, you know? And I was in the selection room, and we were going through cymbals, and I was just looking at these racks of cymbals, and I just happened to notice, that's a pretty large Swiss cymbal there. And I said, what's this? He said, well, let me have a look. He pulled it out. It didn't have rivets in it, but it was still called a Swiss knocker. The original Swiss knocker was, if I'm correct, was a 22-inch with extra rivets. But this one had no rivets in at all. And it was 24 inches. And I went, oh dear, that's it. You know, I selected in the end 2 of them, and I've kept them to this day. And in 1990, I was given a 3rd one by a drummer called Eric Singer. And he said, I know you use these and I'll never use it, so here you are. And I went, oh, you gotta be kidding me, really? When the Amant series came out, I immediately took to them, because I like very light cymbals, very thin cymbals. When I select a crash cymbal, you know what the first thing I do? I put up my finger, and I use my finger, and I go, and if I don't hear that turn into a crash from my finger, it's too heavy. Because I want to be able to touch it, and for it to go, I want to hear it expand like this. If the cymbal's too heavy, it's like hitting a gong, it just goes when you hurt your finger too, right? So that's kind of how I first select, and I go, okay, that's good, put that up, and then pair of sticks, and then, okay, all right, and then of course you have to change them depending on the intervals. Because you can get a 1918, they can almost sound the same pitch. So then you have to kind of, you know, vary stuff. Okay, so let's start from the left-hand side. Well, obviously that's an old Swiss knocker. It's Avedis Zildjian, right? Traditional Avedis Zildjian. The ride cymbal is a specially made 22-inch almond ride. I believe they made a 21 as a standard, if I'm correct. Then next up is a 12-inch splash. That's also an almond. Then the next one is a 19-inch crash almond. The next one is an 18-inch crash, which they did make. That was one, that was a production symbol. And then the 17-inch is a kind of a special almond because it has a large bell instead of the small bell. I'm not sure if it's just because I prefer the look of it, but I don't know. To me, it just looks cool. The 14-inch hi-hats, again, they're almonds as well, and they made those. That was a production model. The thing on the right, which I don't hit very often actually, but I do use, especially in recording. It's a 22-inch Oriental Trash, which I don't know if they still make anymore. I know they made that one especially for me. And it has a 14-inch trash former inside of it. I try to make it sound as close to a dustbin lid as I can. Right? I just want it to bark. I want it to go pop, pop, like this. It's a wonderful symbol for certain passages in music. It just depends which songs we're playing. I can't actually remember on the set list if I even use it, you know, because it is a specialized sound. That's it. That's the set.